Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hogue, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
I'm AJ Hogue, the author of Effortless English, Learn to Speak English Like a Native. Father of the Effortless English System, I train you, I teach you, I help you. I coach you to speak English fluently, to speak English powerfully, to speak English confidently, to speak English effortlessly. You speak English effortlessly when you join my VIP program at effortlessenglishclub.com. Effortlessenglishclub.com. Go there. Commit, don't quit. Join my VIP program. Commit to the VIP program. Commit, don't quit. You will speak English fluently, powerfully, confidently, and effortlessly. Today we are doing our book club. We are finishing another book today. Finishing the book, Your Money or Your Life. Your Money or Your Life, talking about financial freedom. We're doing the last 2 chapters today. Of course, we are live, different time. It is about a little after 1 p.m. Japan time. I had to change times because of the babies. Finally, one more note. Today is the last day of our challenge, the last day of our listening and reading challenge. Today is the last day of November. We finished the challenge today. We will do a celebration show on Monday. It was tomorrow. We have the movie club. So Monday, Japan time again, Monday, Japan time, we will celebrate finishing our 4-month challenge. I will review. We'll look and see who's at the top, and I will actually invite those people to have a conversation with me in the future. To interview them. All right, let's just jump into our book, and then I'll come to our comments and questions after. We're going to go right into chapter 8. Here we go. If you're watching on video, you can see it on the screen. Chapter 8 is called The Crossover Point. The crossover point, the pot of gold at the end of the wall chart. All right, so in other words, the crossover point is the goal. The crossover point equals financial freedom, financial independence. What does that mean? They say by doing steps 1 through 7, the steps we already learned, you will inexorably, there's a nice word, move towards financial independence. Inexorably means cannot be stopped. Cannot be stopped. Something that will continue and will not stop. Inexorably. Here, I'll give you the dictionary definition. In a way that is impossible to stop. So you will move in a way that cannot be stopped. You will not be stopped. You will move towards financial independence. You just have to follow all the steps. All right. Okay, I'm just moving something on my screen. 1 second. Oh, here we go. All right, here we go. Move to the next page. So what do they mean in the crossover point? Now, you remember you create this wall chart, right? You create a big chart on your wall. You have 2 lines. Line number 1 is your income, right? Your income every month. And it will create a line, right? Every month you put a dot and you connect it with a line. And so you get this line, kind of a graph, a line, a chart. And one line will be your income, how much money you're making every month. And then the second line, your expenses, right? You also, every month, you will put a dot, a point for your expenses, your total expenses. How much total did you spend that month? Again, you connect these each month, you connect them with a line. So now you've got 2 lines, income and expenses. And your first goal, the most important goal first, is that you want there to be a gap. You want there to be a larger and larger gap, a larger and larger space. Of course, you want the income line to be higher and higher. And you want the expense line to go lower and lower. and there will be a gap between them. That's your savings every month, right? The difference, the gap between those two, income higher, expenses lower. Well, so that means there's extra money. And that extra money, what will you do with that extra money? Of course, you will save it. Now, this chapter, we're going to talk about, well, what do you do with the saved money? How should you use that money? Do you spend the savings? Of course not. No. What are you going to do with the savings? How do you become financially free? And how you become financially free is by investing. You can guess, of course. You're going to invest that extra money. You've got to make that extra money work so that it makes even more money. Okay, now they have this little section here. It says savings versus capital. So that extra money, you're saving it, right? You're saving it. It's in a bank account probably, right? So you're saving the money. Maybe you have $100 the first month you save, and then it's $200, and then it's $300, and then it's $1,000, and then it's $5,000. Okay, that's savings. What's the difference between savings and capital? Capital when we're talking about money. So it says savings are funds, money, put aside from time to time and kept unexpended. Meaning, savings is money that you keep and you don't spend. That's simple. Savings, money that you have, that you keep, that you save, and you don't spend it. That's savings, obviously. I think we all understand. What's capital? Capital. C-A-P-I-T-A-L. Capital. Capital is money that makes more money. That's the difference. Capital is money that makes more money. In other words, capital is money that you invest somehow, right? Savings, you might have in the bank. Maybe there's a tiny interest rate, but nowadays it's almost nothing. So really, if you're just saving money, that money is not making more money. Not really. So to make more money, to make it capital, now you have to use that money, right? You have to invest it somehow so that your savings makes even more money. Money makes more money. All right, now this is very similar to what Robert Kiyosaki talked about. Now this next statement, they say, I disagree with this. They say there are two basic forms of investment: speculation and debt. Debt instruments, loans. I disagree with this. I think there are three, right? They're missing the one that Robert Kiyosaki talks about. The third one is business, or our businesses, right? So you can invest your money in speculation. We'll talk about what that means, speculation. Debt instruments, loans, that's where you get interest for your money. That's number two. But they're missing the third one. The third one is business investments. You can invest in a business that creates cash flow. That's what Robert Kiyosaki's book was about, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In my opinion, that's the best one. That's the best investment, and they're missing it. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, they say stocks, real estate. They're a little wrong about real estate, but we'll talk about why. Oops, go back, sorry. Stocks, real estate, venture capital are speculative instruments. So what does speculation mean? Speculation means you hope, you speculate. It's kind of like gambling, really. It's really gambling. You speculate, you hope the value will increase and you will make a profit. Okay, so stocks are speculation. Not all stock investing. We'll talk about, again, why this is not exactly true. But how most people do stocks is they're speculating. They're gambling. You buy a stock and then you hope the price will go up. If the price goes up and you sell, you make money, right? But of course, the price can go down. So if the price goes down and you sell, you lose money. That's speculation. It's basically gambling. It's just another word for gambling. I don't recommend that. It's risky. It's high risk. Speculation is very high risk because it basically is just gambling. Now, real estate, why did I say they're wrong about real estate? Well, because there are two ways to invest in real estate. Now, one way of investing in real estate is speculation. It's gambling. You buy a house, for example, and you hope in the future the price will go up. If the price goes up in the future, you sell, you make money. Yay. But, of course, what happens if the price goes down? If you buy a house and the price goes down and you sell in the future, you lose money. So again, it's gambling, it's speculation. However, we learned with Robert Kiyosaki, there's a different way to do real estate. You can also buy a house and then rent it to somebody, and then every month they are paying you. Right? And this is more like a business investment. It's a real estate business. You don't care. You're not trying to make money by selling that house again. You really don't care if the price goes up for the house or the price goes down because you are making money from the rent every single month. That is more of a business style investment, cash flow investment, it's called. And so that is a different way to do real estate. I think that's a better way to do it in a safer way. Okay, now the other way, the third kind is they call debt instruments, loans. This is where you are loaning. You're not borrowing money. You're loaning money to other people, usually to a bank or a company or a government, and they give you interest. They give you a percentage, right? Bonds, government bonds or even corporate bonds. That's basically what you're doing. You're loaning money to a company or you're loaning money to a bank or you're loaning money to a government and they give you interest, 3%, 5%, whatever. Those can be more safe. It depends. Some are risky and some are more safe. Like United States Treasury Bonds, you're basically loaning money to the US government. Traditionally, those are very conservative. They're quite safe. But they don't pay much. They don't pay much interest. The interest is very low, especially now. Okay, but here's the point. The general point. The general point is that after you save some money, you need to invest. You have to find one or more ways to invest your money. So now your money is making more money. And usually we look at this as a percentage. So maybe your money is making 3% every month. Or every year, I guess it would be really yearly. Or it's making 2%, or it's making, 10%, whatever it is, right? And you can look at this then, and you can calculate, you can decide, well, so how much money does my money make? So maybe you have $1,000 invested, and every month you make $1 from your investments, $1 profit. So now every month your money is making an extra dollar, right? That's your investment income. That's your investment income. And you're going to, the next step in this system, you're going to add that to your wall chart. So every month you're going to put a dot, put a point of how much money did you make from your investments. It's the third line. They mention that in a general way, what they recommend, the safest investment are U.S. Treasury bonds, U.S. Treasuries. And that is traditionally, a lot of investors will agree with them that is the safest. The problem is that U.S. Treasury bonds right now are making a maximum of a little less than 2.5%. That's a 30-year bond, 2.3%. That's not much. It's quite low. Treasuries right now are paying very little. But if you want to be very, very, very conservative, you could do that and you make about 2.5% interest, which is very little, but still, it's something. It's something. It's better than nothing. Okay, so now if you're watching on video, you can see there's a chart. You can see the little chart on the right side there. And you'll see now there are 3 lines on the chart. The top line is, it says total monthly income. That's the monthly income. It's going up. And then you can see the total monthly expenses. That's the second line. It's dropping. Now they add a third line, monthly investment income. How much money are you making from your money? How much money does your money make? Not from your job, just from your investments. And hopefully, again, that line will go up and up because every month with your savings, you will invest your savings. So you should be making more money from your investments, more money. That line will start going up, up, up. Maybe slowly, but it will go up. And what is the magic point? This is the magic point. It's called the crossover point. What does that mean? How do you know when you are financially free? How do you know when you are financially independent? Well, you know when the 2 lines cross. Your investment income line and your expenses. When those 2 lines meet, when they connect, when your investment income, money only from your investments, is the same or more than your expenses. What does that mean? It means you're financially free. You're financially independent. It means you don't need a job anymore. You do not need to work anymore. You do not need a job anymore. It means that everything you need, all your expenses, you can pay with your investment income, right? Like if you're investing in bonds, it means every month you get enough money from your bonds, your treasury bonds, to pay for your rent and your food and your medical expenses. Everything is paid for just from your investments. You don't need your job anymore. You don't need to work for money anymore. All your expenses are covered, can be paid by your investments. Your money, making money. That's financial independence. That's financial freedom. You can quit your job. At that point, you can quit your job and never, ever work a job again. So that's where you want to be. You will have a safe income for your entire life from a source other than your job. That's the crossover point. And another way to say this is they say expenses, your basic life necessities, what you need for life, and everything you want in your own life, in your chosen lifestyle, whatever you want to have in your life, it's covered by your monthly investment income. That's how you become financially free. Now, when you reach this point, what do? It means you do anything you want. You're free at that point. Financial freedom. You don't have to stop working for money. If you like your job, if you want to continue to work, you can. You can continue working a job, but you don't have to. You don't have to. It's not required. You're free to do anything. You can quit your job. You can go travel. You can stay at home with your kids. You can volunteer. You can just do a hobby. You can work a job. You can start a business. You can do anything you want. You are totally free. You don't need a job anymore. You are free. And they mention, people talk about time management. Time management. How do I manage my time? They quite honestly say that the best time management is to be financially free. When you are financially free, you quit your job. Now you have 8 or 9 or 10 extra hours every day. You don't need to work a job anymore. So if you have a job 8 hours a day, plus lunch, plus going to the job, plus coming home, when you quit your job, you save maybe 9 or 10 hours every day. You have 9 or 10 hours every day more to do anything you want to do. So you don't need time management anymore. You don't need to worry about time management. You have plenty of time to do everything you want with your children, with your family, exercise, your hobbies. Anything you want to do, you have plenty of time because you don't have to work anymore. You have plenty of time for family and friends. And you don't have to worry about taking vacations, right? And like in America, a lot of people have only 2 weeks per year, 2 weeks a year for vacation. In other countries, maybe 3 or 4 weeks a year for vacation. It's not much, but when you're financially free, you have 52 weeks a year of vacation if you want. You can travel every week if you want to. You're totally free. All right, let's move on to the final chapter. Chapter 9. And basically this is just talking about, what to do with your financial freedom, kind of dreaming a little bit. They give some old information about treasury bonds, investing. Treasury bonds, the interest keeps going lower, lower, lower. It's not a great investment, honestly. They recommend investing in the safest way possible, to be very safe. In other words, to be very conservative, low risk. Okay, next they talk about inflation. That some people worry about inflation, and they say basically you don't need to worry about inflation. If you learn how to cut expenses, if you buy used things, if you learn how to, keep your expenses low, that inflation really is not a problem. Even if prices are going up and up and up, then it doesn't matter because you know how to keep your expenses low. You know how to buy things cheaply. It doesn't really matter if about inflation. Don't be afraid of inflation is what they're saying. Don't be afraid of it. Okay, and then finally, just kind of the final system. They recommend 3 things that you need to have once you have your financial freedom. There's 3 things you need to do to be very, very safe. Number 1 is your capital. We just talked about that. You have to invest, and you're making enough money from your money. You're making enough from your investments to pay for your expenses. That's number 1. Number 2, you need a cushion. What is this? This means you need enough cash savings, like in a bank or in your house, for 6 months of expenses. 6 months of cash, right? It means you can pay for everything, your food, your clothes, your rent, everything. For 6 months, you have enough cash just sitting in the bank that if you had an emergency, for example, you could pay for 6 months and you don't touch your investments at all. And then finally, they talk about a cache, C-A-C-H-E, which is extra and some additional money, which you can use for just enjoyment. So it's kind of an additional savings, again, just in a bank account, money you can spend immediately, right? That's easy to get. Sometimes with your investments, you can't get that money quickly. But so you want to have like a large amount, maybe 6 months for emergencies and 6 more months for fun. And so that's like a year of expenses that you have just saved in the bank that you can use anytime you need it. Plus, you're getting all the money every month from your investments. And when you do all of this, you'll be very, very safe financially. You will have basically no financial stress. All right, then they go into some specifics about how to buy treasury bonds from America. They give a website, treasurydirect.gov. If you want to buy treasury bonds from the United States government, you can go there. They give a little bit of information about treasuries. And then they talk a little bit about, investing in stocks. I'm not going to go into this, guys, because these are kind of complicated topics. If you get to the point where if you want to invest in stocks, you've got to be careful. And you're going to have to do a lot of reading and a lot of research. and it's a very big topic, and I'm not an expert enough to help you. So you're going to have to spend some time, a year or two, learning how to do it. I think this treasury bonds are more safe for somebody just starting who's new. They don't pay much, but they're safer. And that's basically it. All right. Someone mentioned this book is very repetitive. It is. It is true. It is very repetitive. It's a lot of the same ideas again and again and again. It's simple, as I've said many times. It's simple, but it works. The reason we're doing the book, it's not literature, okay? This is not supposed to be an artistic book. It's just some really basic, simple information that will give you freedom, financial freedom. If you follow this system, when you follow this system, you will become financially free. I used it myself to become financially free. So that's why we're doing the book, because it is simple. It means anybody can do it and follow it, and you can become financially free. And I hope you will become financially free. I would love for you to be financially free. So yes, each chapter, they're repeating a lot of the same ideas, but you know what? They're important ideas and they work. They are effective. This works. So don't get too worried about it being repetitive or it's simple. Focus on the fact that it works. You've just got to do it. You just have to follow the system. Create the wall chart. Every month you show how much did you spend each month, your income each month, and then your investments each month, and keep going until the lines cross. Your investment income goes over your expenses, and then you're free. Quit your job and enjoy the rest of your life. Okay, let's get to comments and questions now. Bufendra there says, 2 types of financial freedom, monk and Donald Trump kind of people. This is true, and it's kind of 2 strategies. And what does that mean? Well, like a monk is, strategy number 1 is you focus on cutting your expenses. Simpler life, a simpler life. Cut your expenses. That's your main strategy. Yes, of course, you're trying to make more, but your main strategy is to cut your expenses. That's what Bufendra is calling the monk strategy. It's a good name. And then number 2, the Donald Trump strategy, the Warren Buffett strategy. They are focused on increasing income, making huge amounts of money, right? They don't worry too much about cutting their expenses. They're just making huge amounts of money. And yes, of course, that also is effective. But which one's easier? For most people, the monk strategy is much easier. For you, for me, for normal people, it's a lot easier to cut your expenses, save, invest carefully. That's how you become free for most people. To become a billionaire, very few people can do it. Okay, so are you going to become a billionaire? Probably not. Okay, so the Donald Trump strategy is good if you are, Donald Trump. If you are like just super motivated, intelligent, knowledgeable, crazy, super intensely motivated, on and on. These are special people. That's not most people. So if you're a normal person like me, the monk strategy is better. That's what this book is. The monk strategy works better. It's easier. It's much easier. Yeah, so like Sarah says, I have a good job. I work 4 days a week, 3 hours a day. So that's nice. That's great. 12 hours a week. That's great. That's a very light schedule. And I have a good salary. I don't think I want to leave my job. I just want to decrease my expenses like I did last month. Exactly. It's about choice. It's about freedom, financial freedom. You are free to do what you want. You don't have to do it. That's the point, right? Sarah enjoys her job. She's got a very nice light schedule. plenty of time for what she enjoys doing. She actually likes the job. So keep going. Just like they said in the book, when you become financially free, you don't have to quit your job. If you love your job, if you're having, like I'm still working, right? I'm still doing Effortless English. I don't have to, but I still do it because I enjoy it. And I do it as much as I want to. And Sarah sounds similar. So that's what's great about it, though, because you're not doing it from fear. You're not doing it because you have to, because you must. You're just doing it because you enjoy it. And also, if you have a job, if you are financially free, you have no fear. If you get fired, if you lose the job, so what? You don't care. No, you don't need it. So you're just doing it for enjoyment. So there's no fear at all. Wanong says, how much money do you need to become financially free? Well, you have to, Wanong, I recommend you watch the other chapters because it depends on your expenses, right? You need enough money from your investments to pay for all of your expenses every month. That's what you need. So it depends. If your expenses are high, then you need a lot more money from investments. If your expenses are very low, you need a lot less money from your investments. That's why cutting your expenses is very important. It makes everything much easier. Yeah, like Dilep recommends gold. Gold investment is a good option. It's another one that's pretty safe. Investing in gold can be safe. You have to have a way to keep it safe, so not just lying around your house when people can steal it. But yeah, gold is another one. Gold and silver are other fairly conservative investments. There's certain ways to invest in stocks that are a little more safe. With stocks, you can focus on dividends. That's like a percentage. You get a percent every month or every year from the stock. So it's a kind of cash flow. That's another way of investing in stocks. It's a little more conservative, a little less risky. But you just got to learn about it. Investing is a big topic. You just got to have to learn about this as you're saving more money and you decide how much risk you want. Like, I don't like risk for it. I'm pretty conservative. I'm very safe about my money. Yeah, great. Saudi says, since I listened to you, I cut my expenses. I now have a good amount of money. I can't believe it. Very easily, I will continue. Great. Saudi Rockney. Exactly right. There you go. Great. And then Saudi, what you'll do is you save, and then next step for you is probably to invest. So get that money, making more money. That money needs to make more money. Now, someone asked me what's my favorite investment. My favorite investment are businesses. I like the Robert Kiyosaki approach. So I like to invest in a business that will make cash flow because I have control over a business. Like stocks, I have zero control, no control. I have some stock investing, but not much. And I'm very, very conservative about it because I can't control the stock price. I don't control it at all. It might go up, it might go down, zero control. But my business, Effortless English, or I have a couple other ones that I control. I can improve them. I can do different things to them. So I like to put money back into Effortless English. I like to invest in other, like Learn Real English is another one, another website that is another business. That's my favorite kind of investing, businesses. But, everyone's different. Some people prefer stocks. Some people prefer very safe, like the treasuries. You can also do a mix of all these different things. It's probably the best thing to do is to do all of these, a little bit of each one. Okay, so Learning TCP says, do you think investing in a house or a townhouse is a good investment? I think if you do it the Robert Kiyosaki way, it's a good investment, potentially. That means you like buy the house or the townhouse and then you rent it to someone else and they're paying you enough rent to cover your loan or to cover the cost of the house, and you're making a profit. You're making a profit every month from the house or the townhouse. So you have to learn how to do that. Robert Kiyosaki has some good books about real estate investing. You can find others. I recommend that you read those because, of course, you can lose money too. So you have to be careful. So you just gotta, but yes, real estate can be a very good investment when you know what you're doing. But I recommend doing it for rent, not trying to buy and then sell again quickly. That's a lot more risky. You can make money that way, but you can also lose money. Yeah, Pretty is asking about the stock market, how to make money from the stock market. Well, again, that's a huge question. There are hundreds and thousands of books about this topic and with lots of opinions. The stock market, in my opinion, is very, very, very risky now. Very risky. I know that it has been going up a lot recently and people have made a lot of money, but it can crash also very quickly. I think there's a very big potential for a crash. But I don't know. I don't really like stocks so much. They're too risky. It's too hard to predict and figure out what's a good investment and what's not, especially now because the governments are interfering, the banks are interfering with the stock market so much that it's hard to figure out. It's very, very tough to make money in stocks. Be careful. Be very careful. That's all I can say about that. Okay, let's see. Dalal's asking, what is a treasury bond? Okay, a treasury bond, basically a treasury bond is you give a loan. You are giving a loan to the American government. You're giving them money, and then they are going to pay you back more money later, right? That's what it is. You give them $1,000. They say in 10 years, they will pay you back $1,100. That's you won't get that much, but anyway, that's the idea. That you get interest, right? You give the government money, the American government, and then they will pay you back more money later. That's all it is. You're loaning money to the American government. And of course, other governments have these too. It's called a treasury bond. That's the American one. But there are government bonds, and every government around the world does this. So you can buy, German bonds. You can buy, I'm sure there are British bonds. And so different governments will pay different interest, but there's also different risk. Some governments, there's more risk. The American government, there's risk still now, I think, but it's less. Yeah, like Vladislav says, it's good advice from Vladislav about stocks. You may try with stocks, but with small amounts of money you're ready to lose. That is good advice. If you're going to invest in the stock market, you just have to don't put all your savings in there and possibly lose it all. If you have extra money, you don't care if you lose it. You're not going to be too upset if it's all gone. Use that extra money and play in the stock market and learn about it, and that's fine. Exactly right. Use some of your extra money. That's how I think about it too. The money I put in the stocks, if I lose it, I'm not happy, but I'm not going to, be super upset. Okay. Well, Husser says, I just want to be financially free for helping needy people and animals. Wonderful. That's great. Again, it's your choice. That's why the word freedom, financial freedom. There's nothing you have to do. If you want to sit on a beach and drink pina coladas, you can do that. You can do it every day if you want to. If you want to help animals, that's great. You can do that. If you want to volunteer at a charity, you can do that. If you want to continue working a job, you can do that. If you want to stay at home with your family, you can do that. If you want to write a book or become an artist or a musician, you can do that. You can do anything you want. That's why it's called financial freedom. Freedom. Yeah, like Time to Time says, I want to open a restaurant. Great. Again, right? That's the other thing you can do. You could, when you're financially free, you could open a little business that you're doing for enjoyment. You can open a business with no stress. That's what's great about it. You open your business, no stress, because you are already financially free. You're already financially free, so you don't need to stress, oh my God, the business must succeed or I starve to death. You don't have to worry about it. You start the business, you do it for enjoyment, for pleasure, for contribution, for creativity, but without all the stress. A lot of people start a business, they're super stressed because they're so worried about, the business failing. If you're already financially free, you don't stress about the business failing. It's not really afraid. Sriracha, nice to see you. Thank you so much from your deep heart, teacher. They give us about financial knowledge. It's very important for everyone, a better life. I think it is very important. That's why we're doing this topic. The reason is that money is a source of big stress for so many people. And therefore, money is a cause of a lot of unhappiness for many people. Many, many, many people are stressed and unhappy because of money problems. For me, the biggest thing, the greatest benefit of financial freedom is you remove all that stress. You're not stressed about money anymore. You just don't worry about it anymore. It's something you can focus on all the other great areas of your life instead of getting stressed and worried about money. That's a big benefit. It really will improve your life a lot. Yeah, so Mohammed Nihad says, what about mutual fund investments? It's another way to invest in stocks. Index funds are like a less risky way to invest in stocks. They're called index funds that you're buying basically every stock on the market. But there's still risk. Just be careful. Well, again, so Muhammad says, can you talk about time management? Become financially free. This is the point of the book. You don't need time management. Like, I don't need time management anymore for, 10, 13 years. I don't need time management. Why? Because I'm financially free. I don't have to work much. I have plenty of time every day. I have more than enough time to do everything I want. I have time to read. I have time to play with my babies. I have time. I'm more busy now with new babies. But that will, as they get older, that will be a little easier. But I don't really have to stress about it. I have time to exercise. I have time to do everything I want. Because why? Because I don't have a job. I don't work 8 hours or 9 hours a day. So I have all that time to do anything I want. So I don't stress about scheduling everything. I don't stress about, I got to manage my time. I have plenty of time. So the best time management is to become financially free. Now this is a very good question from Ilana Khan. What's better? First, eliminate all loans, all debt, then start to save, or first focus on saving and gradually pay loans? You can do either one. They're both okay. I recommend first eliminate all debt. Get out of debt. Become debt-free, because that's sucking money away from you, right? That interest payment every month. If you have credit card debt, right? Every month, that's sucking away money. So you just want to get rid of that as fast as you can. So my advice is eliminate all your loans first, all your debt, all the money. Don't owe money to anybody. Credit cards, house payment, car, all of it. Get rid of it all first. Use your extra money for that first. Then when that's all gone, then you can focus on saving and then investing. That would be my recommendation. Aprende Inglés says, how can we start an online business from zero? Well, not quite zero, but you can start an online business very cheaply. I recommend you get a blog, right? A basic website. Use WordPress. And number 2, you start a podcast or a YouTube channel or both and build an audience. And then you need to create a product for them to sell them or a service, something you do for them. So that's how you do it. That's the basics, how you do it. It doesn't require much money, but it requires time and effort. I can't be more specific because every business is different, right? But that's the very general way you do it. It's more your time that you're focused on. All that just requires time. Kaiki Neves says, my sister-in-law spends so much money buying worthless stuff. It's causing so much prejudice to her and so much just stress for her wedding. It creates a huge amount of stress. If you're spending too much money, you're spending all your money, then you never have extra money, then yes, it's a stressful situation. It feels good to spend the money for a moment, but then later you have all that stress because you don't have any money, you have all these expenses, maybe you have loans, you have debt, credit cards, and the stress just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's terrible. Yeah, Vladimir's right about this. To buy something from the government is not only risky, but dangerous. Yeah, and this, it used to be the idea was the government bonds were super safe, but not so much anymore. Is gold a good investment? Maybe. Just don't buy I recommend don't put all your money in one thing. In my opinion, the best investment is creating your own business. But again, be careful. Don't use all your money to do that. Don't risk everything. You have to just learn not to risk. You got to manage your risk. That's the important thing. Khalid says, kind of agreeing with me, if you start a small business or a big business, you'll get to financial freedom if you're successful. Don't miss the important things in life. Indeed. I like businesses as an investment, but you have to understand what you're doing. I recommend you start a business that requires very little money and you mostly use your time. And then when the business is successful, then you can take some of their extra money and put it into the business to help it grow, but very carefully. Very carefully. And you're also investing maybe in bonds or maybe in stocks or maybe in other things. But again, guys, I'm not like a super investor. I'm very, 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 I'm kind of like this book. I'm really careful with mine. I'm just pretty boring, my investing. If you want to make money from investing, there are a lot of books you can read out there, and you're just going to have to learn and try things and just be careful is my point. Be careful. All right, I think we are almost finished. Yeah, like Niraj says, since I've been listening to you, I know that we must be frugal with money. Indeed, indeed. It's just the easier way for most people. Like people usually think of financial freedom. They think of Donald Trump. They think of Warren Buffett. They think of Steve Jobs. They think of Bill Gates, right? This is the image we get from the media, these billionaires. But we're not going to become billionaires, most of us, right? Probably no one listening right now will become a billionaire. And so that's a super difficult, therefore unrealistic way to become financially free. If you think you must be a billionaire to be financially free, well, then you lose hope. You will lose all hope because you will realize you're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. And then you just become depressed, and that sucks, okay? Because it's basically impossible, almost impossible for most people. But the other way, the monk way, as Bufendra said, of cutting your expenses, living very simply, having self-discipline and control, following this book. That way, anybody can do it. You can do it. I did it already. Normal people can do this fairly easily. So that's why it's a much better way, a much better path to freedom, financial freedom. It's a much better path for most people, right? 99.999% should use this way. If you're a billionaire, you don't need this book. But everybody else, yes. Okay, so let's move on now. We finished this book. Yay! What's the next book? I don't know. Sadi asks, what's the next book? It will be a fiction book, and I want something positive. I liked Animal Farm, I like Brave New World, but I don't want another dystopia, right? I don't want another book that's about all the horrible stuff in the world. We've had enough of that for a while. We need a break. I want something that is positive and makes us feel good and brings our morale, our courage, our hope up and makes us stronger. So send me your suggestions for books on Gab, on my Gab account. Send me your suggestions for books. The next book will probably be fiction, maybe nonfiction. I'm open to that, but the main thing is I want something that's positive, that's going to make us all feel strong and good and motivated. That's what I want for our next book. Now, as usual, we will take a break. We'll take a break for probably a couple of weeks of no book club while we just gives everyone time to watch these videos. Maybe if you want to, you can read this book now. Get the book in English, Your Money or Your Life, and try to read it yourself. It's good for your English. You get a lot of good vocabulary from this book. So go try to read the book now. I'll give you a couple of weeks, and then we'll start our next book. Okay, finally, tomorrow. Tomorrow, movie club, so join me on Twitch. Again, follow me on Gab, because on Gab I announce when I'm going live. It will be around this time. We'll do